The prison planet theory begins with a provocative premise that humanity did not originate on Earth. We were placed here, either intentionally, forcibly, or accidentally, by an advanced and ancient extraterrestrial civilization. Unlike the zoo hypothesis, which imagines Earth as a passive observation site, this theory casts our planet as a containment zone, a kind of interstellar penal colony where humanity is either being punished, rehabilitated, quarantined, or all three at once. This idea draws from multiple sources, like fringe science, ancient myth, and speculative cosmology. Proponents argue that certain features of human biology, psychology, and behavior are inconsistent with Earth's environment. Our vulnerability to solar radiation, our chronic physical ailments, and our social dysfunctions are interpreted not as evolutionary quirks, but as signs of environmental mismatch. Proposing Earth is not our cradle, it's our cage. The theory often begins with a question: why do humans seem so ill-adapted to our own planet? Unlike most terrestrial species, we suffer from sunburn, seasonal depression, and a host of autoimmune disorders. We require clothing, shelter, and artificial climate control to survive in most regions. Our spines are prone to dysfunction. Our childbirth is unusually dangerous compared to most other species on the planet, and our immune systems are hypersensitive and even turn against us in some situations. There's also a balance in nature that every life form seems to fit into, but humans don't seem to fit in or help this balance, and we actually tend to disrupt it with our presence. All of these anomalies are reframed not as evolutionary inefficiencies, but as evidence of extraterrestrial origin. We're basically invasive species here on Earth. Some versions of the theory suggest that humanity was exiled due to behavioral flaws, violence, greed, or technological recklessness. Others propose a more tragic narrative: that Earth was chosen as a rehabilitation site, a place where a damaged species could recover and evolve in isolation. In either case, the implication is clear: we are not here by accident, and we are not alone. Biological mismatch. If Earth is our true evolutionary cradle, our bodies should reflect a seamless adaptation to its conditions. Yet, when viewed through the lens of the prison planet theory, human biology appears riddled with contradictions, traits that seem maladaptive, inefficient, or outright hostile to the environment we inhabit. These anomalies form the foundation of the theory's biological argument that humans may have evolved elsewhere or were engineered for an existence of non-stop struggle. The most cited anomaly is our vulnerability to the sun. Unlike most terrestrial animals, humans suffer from sunburn, heat stroke, and skin cancer due to prolonged exposure to solar radiation. Our eyes are sensitive to bright daylight, and many people experience seasonal affective disorder due to fluctuations in sunlight. If we were native to this planet, why would its primary energy source be so damaging? Some theorists suggest that our biology may be tuned to a different spectral output, perhaps a star with less ultraviolet radiation, or a planet with a denser atmosphere that filters sunlight more effectively. The need for sunscreen, sunglasses, and artificial lighting is reframed not as technological progress, but as compensatory adaptation to an alien environment. Human posture and locomotion also raise questions. Our spines are prone to degeneration, herniation, and chronic pain. Upright walking, while evolutionarily advantageous, comes at a cost. Lower back pain, knee issues, and joint deterioration are nearly universal. Some versions of the theory propose that we evolved under lower gravity, where vertical posture placed less strain on the skeletal system. This idea gains traction when compared to other Earth species, which generally exhibit more efficient biomechanical designs. Quadrupeds distribute weight more evenly, and arboreal species show remarkable agility and resilience. In contrast, humans seem fragile and clumsy, as if designed for a gentler gravitational field. Human childbirth is notoriously dangerous. The size of the infant's head relative to the birth canal leads to high rates of complications, pain, and, relatively speaking, mortality, a problem largely absent in other mammals. This mismatch is often attributed to the rapid expansion of the human brain, but in the prison planet framework, it's seen as evidence of non-native design. Perhaps our species was engineered or evolved in a context where gestation and birth were assisted by technology or altered physiology. Additionally, human infants are extremely underdeveloped and helpless at birth, requiring years of care before achieving independence. This prolonged vulnerability is unusual among mammals and suggests a species that may have relied on communal or artificial support systems, now lost or inaccessible. Another subtle clue lies in our internal clocks. Studies have shown that the human circadian rhythm is closer to 25 hours than Earth's 24-hour cycle. While we adapt to the planetary day-night rhythm, our natural sleep-wake cycle seems slightly out of sync. This discrepancy is interpreted by some theorists as a sign that we evolved on a planet with a slightly longer rotational period. Beyond the physical, human psychology is marked by aggression, tribalism, and existential anxiety. While these traits have evolutionary explanations, the prison planet theory interprets them as signs of a species out of equilibrium, a mind designed for a different social or environmental context. Our propensity for war, ecological destruction, and self-hatred is seen not as a flaw of evolution, but as a symptom of displacement. In this view, Earth is not nurturing us, it's challenging us, forcing a species designed for another world to adapt, survive, and evolve under alien conditions. The biological struggles become a narrative of exile, struggle, and transformation. Mythic echoes. Long before modern science speculated about alien origins, ancient cultures told stories of beings cast down from the heavens, imprisoned in earthly realms, or banished from divine domains. These myths, when reinterpreted through the lens of the prison planet theory, suggest a symbolic and perhaps literal memory of cosmic exile. The theory gains depth when we consider that humanity's oldest narratives may not be mere allegory, but latent accounts of displacement. In Judeo-Christian tradition, the story of Lucifer's fall is one of the most iconic exile examples. Cast out of heaven for rebellion, Lucifer is condemned to earth, a realm of suffering and separation. The prison planet theory reframes this as a cosmic precedent, a powerful being banished to a lower dimensional world. Some theorists even suggest that humanity shares this fate, that we are the descendants of a fallen race, punished for transgressions committed in a higher realm. Similarly, the Book of Enoch describes the Watchers, a group of angels who descend to earth and corrupt humanity. Their punishment? Imprisonment in the depths of the earth until the end of days. These stories echo the idea of containment, of beings confined to a terrestrial prison for violating cosmic laws. The Sumerian texts, among the oldest known writings, speak of the Anunnaki, deities who came from the heavens and shaped humanity. Some interpretations suggest that humans were genetically engineered by these beings, either as slaves or as part of a larger experiment. The Epic of Atrahasis describes a rebellion among the younger gods, leading to the creation of humans to bear the burden of labor and leading to the Sumerian version of the Great Flood. In the prison planet framework, this myth is reinterpreted as a colonial narrative, Earth as a penal outpost, humanity as a hybrid species designed for containment or servitude. The Anunnaki become not just gods, but cosmic wardens overseeing a quarantined world. The Genesis story of Adam and Eve contains another exile motif. Humanity begins in a state of harmony within the Garden of Eden, a controlled, enclosed, and perfect environment. After disobeying divine command, they are cast out into the wild earth, condemned to toil and suffer in a sinful world. In this premise, Eden is not a paradise lost, but a containment zone breached. The expulsion marks the beginning of human life in a harsher, alien world, one that does not fully support our biology or psychology. Greek mythology offers another archetype, Prometheus, who defies the gods by giving fire to humanity. His punishment is eternal torment. Chained to a rock, his liver devoured daily, humanity too suffers for this transgression, enduring disease, toil, and mortality. Prometheus becomes a symbol of technological rebellion, and his myth suggests that humanity's suffering is the result of cosmic defiance. In the prison planet theory, This aligns with the idea that we were exiled for misusing power or knowledge, perhaps even for threatening the stability of a larger galactic order. Across cultures, myths of exile, imprisonment, and divine punishment are told with striking consistency. The theory proposes that these stories are not mere metaphors, but latent memories of a forgotten truth. If humanity was indeed placed on Earth as part of a cosmic sentence, then myth may be the only surviving record, distorted by time, but still resonant. These narratives also serve a psychological function. They explain our sense of disconnection, our longing for transcendence, and our suspicion that something is missing. The prison planet theory suggests that this existential ache is not just spiritual, it's ancestral memory, a buried awareness of our displacement as if we're homesick. The architects of exile. If Earth is a prison, then someone built it. The prison planet theory inevitably leads to questions about the civilization responsible, its technological capabilities, motivations, and methods. Imagine the kind of intelligence that could engineer planetary exile, and what traces of their intervention might remain hidden in plain sight. To isolate an entire species on a planetary scale requires godlike control over space, biology, and time. The civilization behind such an act would need mastery of interstellar travel and continent-sized ships to relocate a species across vast distances, genetic engineering to modify or adapt the species for survival in a foreign biosphere, and make them more compatible with local flora and fauna, as well as planetary manipulation, possibly terraforming Earth to suit containment needs, or even building a moon to create specific conditions on the planet, and surveillance and control systems to monitor the population without direct interference or being discovered. This implies a level of technological sophistication far beyond our own, perhaps millions of years ahead. In some versions of the theory, these beings are not merely advanced, they are post-biological, operating through artificial intelligence, quantum networks, or dimensional manipulation. One line of inquiry focuses on human DNA. Some researchers have noted that the human genome contains non-coding regions, sometimes called junk DNA, whose function remains mysterious. While mainstream science sees these as regulatory or evolutionary remnants, fringe theorists speculate that they may be encrypted data, control sequences, or genetic locks placed by our creators. Additionally, the sudden emergence of Homo sapiens, with advanced cognition, language, and tool use, has led some to question whether our evolution was accelerated or guided. Although there are other theories, such as the stoned ape theory, where psychedelic mushrooms may have played a part, the prison planet theory suggests that we may have been engineered, either as a hybrid species or as a modified version of an existing hominid, tailored for containment and observation. If Earth is a controlled environment, then surveillance is essential. The theory proposes that monitoring systems may exist in orbit, underground, or even embedded within our own technology. Ancient myths of sky gods and watchers are reinterpreted as early encounters with observation drones or dimensional probes. Modern UFO sightings, unexplained aerial phenomena, and even certain patterns in electromagnetic activity are seen as potential signs of ongoing surveillance. Some theorists go further, suggesting that our own technological development, especially the rise of digital networks and artificial intelligence, is being subtly guided to facilitate easier monitoring. Earth itself may have actually been chosen or designed for its challenging conditions. The harsh climate variations, tectonic instability, and biological hazards could serve as behavioral filters, testing the species' adaptability, cooperation, and resilience. In this view, Earth is not just a prison, it's a trial ground, a crucible for transformation. Alternatively, the planet may have been modified to suit containment needs. Some versions of the theory suggest that the moon is an artificial satellite, placed to stabilize Earth's rotation and tides. Others point to anomalies in Earth's magnetic field, orbital mechanics, or geological history as signs of external intervention. technology may also be used to shape human perception. The theory proposes that memory suppression, cultural engineering, and spiritual disorientation are part of the containment strategy. Myths, religions, and ideologies may have been seeded or manipulated to prevent humanity from discovering its true origin. Consciousness in captivity. If humanity is imprisoned, whether physically, biologically, or spiritually, then our entire experience of life is shaped by that containment. The prison planet. Theory doesn't just challenge our origin story, it reinterprets our existential struggles as symptoms of displacement. Human beings are uniquely haunted by a sense of not belonging. We build religions around paradise lost, philosophies around existential dread, and art around yearning for the infinite. The prison planet. Theory suggests that this ache is not metaphorical. It's a buried awareness of exile, or the feeling of knowing deep down that we were rejected by the universe itself. Our psychological instability, manifested in depression, anxiety, addiction, and violence, is interpreted not merely as pathology, but as symptoms of containment stress. Like animals in captivity, we exhibit behaviors that reflect frustration, confusion, and a longing for freedom. The theory proposes that our suffering is not a flaw of evolution, but a reaction to confinement. Human ambition is relentless. We explore space, manipulate genetics, build artificial intelligence, and seek immortality. The prison planet. Theory reframes this drive as a subconscious attempt to escape, to transcend the boundaries of our imposed reality. Our obsession with progress, expansion, and transformation is seen as a response to cosmic limitation. Even spiritual practices, meditation, psychedelics, mysticism, are interpreted as attempts to pierce the veil, to reconnect with a lost dimension or origin. The theory suggests that enlightenment may not be about inner peace, but about remembering, recovering fragments of a forgotten truth. If Earth is a containment zone, then our choices may be more constrained than we realize. The theory raises uncomfortable questions about free will. Are our thoughts and desires shaped by environmental programming? Are we being subtly guided, monitored, or manipulated? This leads to a philosophical tension. On one hand, the theory implies determinism, a system designed to limit and direct human behavior. On the other, it suggests that true freedom lies in awakening, in recognizing the illusion and choosing to transcend it. In this view, consciousness becomes the battleground, the only space where rebellion is still possible. Rather than seeing suffering as meaningless or cruel, the prison planet theory reframes it as transformative pressure. Earth becomes a crucible, a place where pain catalyzes growth, where limitation forces innovation. The theory suggests that the very conditions that make life difficult are the ones that make evolution possible. Humanity is like coal, hopefully becoming diamonds. This echoes mythic themes. Prometheus tortured for his gift, Christ crucified before resurrection, Buddha suffering before enlightenment. In each case, suffering is not the end, it's the threshold. The theory proposes that Earth's harshness is not punishment, but initiation. Ultimately, the prison planet theory doesn't strip life of meaning, it redefines it. Meaning is no longer found in comfort or conformity, but in awakening, remembering, and transcending. The human journey becomes a quest not for survival, but for liberation, from ignorance, from illusion, from containment. In this framework, every act of creativity, compassion, or curiosity is a form of resistance, a spark of the original fire, still burning in exile. The engineered world. If Earth is a prison, then its design may reflect that purpose, and there's a possibility that planetary features, ancient structures, and geological anomalies are not random or natural, but part of a deliberate system of containment. The theory suggests that Earth may have been selected, modified, or even constructed to serve as a behavioral crucible for humanity. Earth is often described as just right for life, a Goldilocks planet with the perfect balance of temperature, atmosphere, and gravity. But the prison planet theory flips this narrative. What if Earth wasn't chosen for comfort, but for challenge? There's extreme climate variability, from deserts to lush jungles. Earth forces constant adaptation. There's natural disasters like earthquakes, volcanoes, and intense storms that act as environmental stressors. And biological hazards like parasites, predators, and disease create survival complications and pressure. These features may not be incidental, they may be behavioral filters designed to test resilience, cooperation, and innovation. Where Earth is not a nurturing cradle, but a trial ground, engineered to provoke growth through adversity, our perpetual obstacle course. The Moon is a central anomaly in this theory. Its size, distance, and stabilizing effect on Earth's rotation are unusually precise. Some theorists suggest the Moon is artificial, placed to regulate tides, seasons, and biological rhythms. Its hollow-sounding interior, as reported in seismic experiments, and its synchronous rotation, with it always showing the same face, fuel speculation that it may be a monitoring station or containment mechanism. Ancient myths often depict the Moon as a watcher, a silent observer of human behavior. In the prison planet framework, it becomes a surveillance node, part of a larger system designed to track and influence human development, and perhaps even notify our keepers when we're ready to be set free. Across the globe, ancient structures defy conventional explanations. The Great Pyramid of Giza, Stonehenge, Teotihuacan, and Göbekli Tepe exhibit astronomical precision, unexplained engineering, and symbolic depth. The theory proposes that these sites may be anchoring points that function as geometric nodes in a planetary grid, which makes even more sense when you realize many of them are along ley lines. Or perhaps they're energy regulators designed to influence Earth's electromagnetic field and keep us safe from the chaos of the cosmos. Then there's the possibility these are cultural programming centers meant to seed mythic narratives to shape human consciousness and even moral guidelines. Some versions suggest these structures were built by the same civilization that orchestrated our exile, or by earlier humans who retained fragments of forbidden knowledge. Their placement often aligns with ley lines, geomagnetic anomalies, and celestial events, hinting at a deeper planetary architecture. Earth's magnetic field is unstable with periodic reversals and localized anomalies. Certain regions, like the Bermuda Triangle, Lake Vostok, or the Nazca Plateau, exhibit strange electromagnetic behavior, unexplained disappearances, or ancient carvings visible only from the sky. The theory interprets these as containment seams, dimensional gateways, or control nodes, places where the veil thins and the underlying system reveals itself. Gravitational anomalies, such as the gravity hole in the Indian Ocean, are seen not as geological quirks, but as design artifacts. Some theorists propose that Earth is overlaid with a planetary grid, a geometric lattice of energy lines connecting ancient sites, magnetic poles, and tectonic boundaries. This grid may serve as a containment matrix, regulating consciousness, energy flow, and even tectonic activity, implying humanity is not just imprisoned physically, but energetically. Our thoughts, emotions, and spiritual experiences are shaped by the grid's influence. Ancient cultures may have built temples and monuments at key nodes to interface with this system, either to escape it or to harness its power, or perhaps to try to contact our jailers. The threshold of liberation. If Earth is a prison, then the most urgent question becomes, can we escape from it? The prison planet theory doesn't just dwell on confinement. It hints at the possibility of transcendence, of breaching the veil and reclaiming our forgotten origin. Let's explore the mechanics of escape, the signs of awakening, and the idea that humanity may be nearing a threshold moment, a point of irreversible transformation and enlightenment. The first step toward escape would be awareness. If most humans live in a state of cognitive sedation, unaware of their true condition, then awakening is not just spiritual, it's also informational. It would involve recognizing the patterns of containment, like the biological mismatches, the mythic echoes, the technological anomalies, the patterns within patterns. This awakening is probably triggered by some kind of disruption, such as trauma, revelation, or exposure to forbidden knowledge. Once awakened, individuals begin to question the system, seek hidden truths, and pursue paths of inner liberation, at which time consciousness becomes the primary battleground. The prison is not just physical, it's mental, and it's within us as much as it surrounds us. Some versions of the theory propose that escape is not about leaving Earth physically, but about shifting dimensions. The idea is that reality is layered, multiple frequencies, densities, or realities coexisting. Earth may be a third density containment zone, and liberation involves ascending to a higher vibrational state. Practices like meditation, lucid dreaming, and psychedelic exploration are perhaps tools for frequency tuning, ways to access alternate layers of reality. Escaping is not a jailbreak, it's a phase shift, a transition from one state of being to another. Others suggest that escape will come through advancing our technology. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and space travel could be used as tools for breaching the system. The rise of decentralized networks, virtual realities, and consciousness uploading are seen as proto-liberation mechanisms, early attempts to transcend biological and planetary limitations. Some theorists believe that humanity is being subtly guided toward this breakout, either by benevolent forces within the system or by remnants of our original civilization. Perhaps the prison was never meant to be eternal. It's a test, and the tools for escape are embedded in the system itself. The theory also points to signs that the containment system may be failing or evolving. There's magnetic field instability, where the Earth's geomagnetic field is weakening, possibly affecting consciousness, and planetary shielding, allowing our minds to break out of the conditioning they're supposed to be trapped in. UFO disclosure, where governments and institutions are slowly releasing information about unidentified aerial phenomena, suggesting cracks in the secrecy barrier and causing people to start questioning what's really going on. Regardless of the reason, we're seeing a mass awakening, and more people are questioning reality, exploring alternative paradigms, and rejecting institutional narratives. My personal theory on this one is it's at least partly due to the introduction of the internet and the ability for people to share their thoughts and ideas with a broader range of other people now. These signs are interpreted as threshold indicators, evidence that the system is reaching a tipping point. Whether this leads to liberation or deeper control remains uncertain, but the momentum is undeniable. In mythic terms, escape is framed as return, a journey back to the source. The hero leaves the underworld, the exile finds home, the fallen rise again. The prison planet. Theory reimagines humanity as a forgotten lineage, destined to reclaim its place among the stars. This return may not be physical, it may be energetic or spiritual, but it carries profound implications. That suffering was not meaningless, that exile was not eternal, and that awakening is not just possible, it's inevitable, and it's the whole point. The skeptic's lens. While the prison planet theory offers a compelling narrative of cosmic exile, it remains a fringe idea, largely unsupported by mainstream science. There are major critiques leveled against the theory, from evolutionary biology to epistemology, and many researchers, philosophers, and skeptics reject its claims. One of the strongest rebuttals comes from evolutionary science. Critics argue that human vulnerabilities, sunburn, back pain, childbirth complications, are not signs of alien origin, but trade-offs in a complex evolutionary process. Sun sensitivity is explained by the relatively recent migration of lighter-skinned populations into high UV regions. Melanin levels evolved based on latitude, not planetary mismatch. Back pain is a consequence of bipedalism, which offered survival advantages despite structural costs. And childbirth difficulty? It results from the evolutionary expansion of the human brain, which dramatically increased cognitive capacity and, in turn, the size of our head. Why our cognitive ability increased is a completely different story and debate involving the stoned ape theory and a few others, but that's one for another video. So according to skeptics, human biology is not flawed. It's imperfectly optimized through natural selection. Evolution is not a designer. It's a tinkerer working with available materials under environmental pressure. Philosophers argue that the sense of alienation, suffering, and longing for transcendence is not evidence of exile. It's the human condition. Existential thinkers like Sartre, Camus, and Kierkegaard explored these themes long before fringe theories emerged. Existential dread arises from consciousness itself, the ability to reflect, imagine, and fear. Spiritual yearning is a response to mortality and uncertainty, not a buried memory of cosmic displacement. We want there to be more because the thought of everything being for nothing just feels uncomfortable to us. And our aggression and tribalism are evolutionary strategies for survival in resource-scarce environments. Strategies we can't seem to rise above, judging from the world and the way it is these days. From this perspective, the prison planet theory may be a psychological projection, a mythic narrative constructed to explain universal human discomfort, and so we can avoid thinking about how small and unimportant we really are in the scope of the universe. The theory also suffers from a lack of verifiable data. No genetic markers point to extraterrestrial engineering. No archaeological evidence confirms artificial planetary design. No peer-reviewed studies support the idea of Earth as a containment zone. While anomalies exist, like the moon's peculiar orbit or ancient architectural mysteries, mainstream science offers plausible terrestrial explanations, although there's much we don't have answers for, and our knowledge about our universe is always evolving, so you never know. Psychologists also explain possible apophenia, our tendency to perceive meaningful patterns in random data. The prison planet theory may be an example of this cognitive bias, where unrelated phenomena are woven into a coherent but unfounded narrative. A type of cosmic Rorschach test, perhaps. Interpreting ancient structures as alien artifacts may ignore cultural context and human ingenuity. After all, we do tend to give our ancestors less credit than they deserve. Reading biological quirks as signs of exile may overlook evolutionary nuance and the fact we're still evolving. Some critics argue that the prison planet theory promotes escapism and disempowerment. By framing Earth as a prison and humanity as victims, it may discourage engagement with real-world challenges. A victim mentality would just trap us in a cycle of always trying to be a victim. Instead of inspiring transformation, it risks fostering fatalism or paranoia. The idea that we are trapped by unseen forces can undermine agency, responsibility, and collective action. The myth of confinement. Whether or not the prison planet theory is literally true, it functions as a symbolic framework, a lens through which we can reinterpret the human experience. It offers a narrative structure that helps us make sense of suffering, identity, and transformation. The prison planet theory taps into deep mythic archetypes and touches on the monomyth, or the hero's journey, in some ways as well. We start with the exile, where humanity is cast out from its true home, wandering in a hostile world and not sure what our purpose really is. Then we have the watchers, hidden forces observing, judging, or manipulating us from afar, the puppeteers holding our puppet strings. And next is our awakening, where a chosen few begin to remember, rebel, and transcend. And then lastly, our return, the journey back to our origin point, wholeness, or cosmic unity, and our completion of the puzzle, finally. These motifs resonate across cultures and epochs. They speak to something primal in the human psyche, the sense that we are more than we appear, and that our suffering has a purpose, or that we at least hope it does. Symbolically, the prison planet theory reframes key philosophical questions like, What is freedom? If we are confined without our knowledge, then freedom becomes not just escape, but existential enlightenment. What is identity? If we are displaced, then identity becomes a search for origin. We wouldn't know what or who we are until we know where we started. And what is meaning? If our suffering is engineered, then does meaning lie in transformation or survival, or perhaps both? These questions echo through existentialism, mysticism, and post-human thought. The theory becomes a philosophical intersection where ideas about consciousness, reality, and evolution can be explored in many different branch directions. Ultimately, the prison planet theory may be less about the past and more about the future. It offers a framework for humanity's next phase, whether that's space colonization, digital transcendence, or spiritual awakening. It prepares us to ask, what if Earth was the journey, and this time, it's the destination? That's the important part. Hybrid realities. The prison planet theory doesn't exist in isolation. It overlaps with several other radical cosmologies, each offering a different angle on the mystery of human origin, confinement, and awakening. When combined, these theories form a cosmic lasagna of possibilities, a layered worldview that blends science fiction, metaphysics, and myth into a unified narrative of exile and eventual transcendence. One of the most popular modern ideas is simulation theory, which posits that reality itself is a computational construct, an advanced simulation run by a higher intelligence or even future humans. In this one, Earth isn't a physical prison, but a virtual one designed to test, contain, or evolve consciousness. The planet, instead of a prison, becomes a sandbox environment that's almost like a role-playing video game we're not aware that we're living in, where variables are tightly controlled and some of us seem to have more free will than others. The biological anomalies are programmed constraints, not evolutionary quirks. Perhaps even variables for some kind of testing we're unwilling subjects in. Awakening involves glitch detection, noticing inconsistencies in the simulation and questioning its architecture, or maybe we're supposed to figure out how to complete the simulation so we can finally shut it down and exit it. This theory suggests that our exile may be digital, not spatial. We are not trapped on Earth at all. We are trapped in a coded reality. And escape requires figuring out the game mechanics and using them properly, not fleeing a planet and exploring the galaxy. There's also the panspermia hypothesis, which proposes that life on Earth originated from elsewhere, carried by comets, asteroids, or directed seeding by advanced civilizations. While traditionally framed as a natural process, some versions suggest intentional placement, aligning it somewhat with the prison planet narrative. It proposes that humanity may be a genetic transplant, seeded on Earth as part of a containment or rehabilitation program, or maybe even completely on accident making us visitors on this planet regardless. Our DNA may contain extraterrestrial markers, remnants of our true origin. Scientists have discovered how to activate dormant genes, so who knows what we may discover by doing that in the future. Earth's biosphere may have been terraformed specifically to support humanity being here, but with built-in limitations. This hypothesis reframes Earth not as a prison built from scratch, but as a planetary petri dish where life was seeded under controlled conditions. It's not as far-fetched as it may seem. Seeing we've discovered mushroom spores and even tardigrades can survive in the vacuum of space. So life arriving on an asteroid is completely possible and even reasonable. Another aligned theory involves dimensional exile. The idea that humanity was cast out of a higher vibrational realm and trapped in a lower density reality. This aligns with esoteric traditions that describe Earth as a third density learning ground, where souls undergo trials and must earn their ascension. Instead of a prison, we've basically been grounded to our bedroom like children and have to earn our way back by proving ourselves worthy and ready. Escape involves raising consciousness and becoming enlightened to show that we won't do whatever we did that got us exiled in the first place ever again. Ancient stories of beings falling from heaven or from the stars are reinterpreted as our dimensional exile. posing the question, are we actually the fallen angels trying to earn our wings back? This theory suggests that our location isn't the problem, our state of being is. We are not trapped by physical limitations, but by vibration and frequency, and liberation requires inner transformation. There are also theorists that propose that humanity is a hybrid species, created by merging terrestrial hominids with extraterrestrial DNA. This overlaps with both panspermia and the prison planet ideas. What if we've been engineered for containment with built-in biological limitations? Kind of like restrictors on a race car's engine, so we're kept at the acceptable power levels. Our creators may have embedded fail-safes, genetic locks that prevent full awakening. Our dormant DNA may be that way by design, one that's beyond our understanding. Ancient myths of gods mating with humans, such as Nephilim and demigods, are reinterpreted as genetic interventions and alterations. This theory suggests that our exile is not just planetary, but also biological. Our very bodies are designed to limit access to higher states of awareness or power. We are our own prisons, in a sense. When all of these theories are combined along with the prison planet theory, it evolves into an exile that almost sounds impossible to escape, where when we break through one layer, we just find another metaphorical wall in our way, stopping our escape. Echoes in culture. Film has long been a vessel for mythic ideas, and the prison planet theory is no exception. Its themes echo through iconic movies, like The Matrix, where a simulated reality conceals the true nature of existence. Awakening is painful but liberating. The world is a cage, and consciousness is the key. The choice, the red pill and you escape, or the blue pill and you keep living the lie. Or Dark City, where humanity lives in a fabricated city controlled by alien beings. Memory manipulation and architectural anomalies mirror the theory's core ideas. And The Truman Show, with a man discovering his entire life is a staged illusion. Surveillance, containment, and the yearning for truth drive the narrative. The control and deception mirror the prison planet theory. There's also TV series like Westworld, Black Mirror, and Raised by Wolves that explore variations of containment, artificial reality, and post-human evolution. Serialized storytelling allows for layered exploration, where characters slowly uncover the nature of their prison and grapple with the implications. Writers like Philip K. Dick, Terence McKenna, and David Icke have explored themes of exile, illusion, and awakening. Their work blends fiction, mysticism, and social critique, often suggesting that humanity is trapped in a false reality, and that freedom requires radical perception and the ability to expand and open our minds to possibilities once unimaginable to us, beyond the cage. If the prison planet theory is a story of exile, then its natural conclusion is liberation and perhaps a return home to wherever we were exiled from in the first place. Whether physical, spiritual, or dimensional, the idea of escape opens the door to untold futures, where we shatter our shackles of confinement and reclaim our cosmic identity. One possible future imagines humanity breaking free through technological mastery, spiritual awakening, or dimensional shift. In this scenario, Earth becomes a beginning, not a cage. The prison was temporary, and its trials forged a species capable of navigating the stars. Space colonization becomes humanity's future, not just mere exploration, but the continuation and purpose of our species. Genetic enhancement and neural augmentation allow us to overcome our biological limitations and correct the biggest issue with evolution, that it takes too long. And quantum consciousness and enlightenment help us to achieve interdimensional travel, reconnecting us with lost realms or ancestral origins. Another future trajectory focuses on inner liberation and the universe within us. Instead of escaping Earth physically, humanity evolves psychologically and spiritually, transcending the limitations of ego, fear, and separation. Practices like meditation, psychedelic therapy, and neuroplastic training become mainstream tools for awakening, maybe even allowing for abilities like telepathy and telekinesis. Collective consciousness shifts toward unity, empathy, and cosmic awareness, and Earth transforms from a prison into a temple, a sacred space for soul development. If the theory gains traction and starts to seem like more than just a theory, it may inspire a cultural renaissance, a wave of art, philosophy, and storytelling that reinterprets human history through the lens of exile and awakening. New religions or spiritual movements may emerge centered on the idea of cosmic displacement and return, or we may change the way we interpret already existing religions and spiritual movements. Art and media may explore themes of containment, rebellion, and transcendence with increasing depth and in ways we haven't even imagined yet. And education may shift toward mythic literacy, teaching students to decode symbolic systems and navigate layered realities, and transcendence may become more important than information. The most radical future would be a moment of disclosure or a revelation that confirms the theory's core premise, whether through contact with advanced beings, technological breakthrough, or mass awakening. Humanity learns the truth. Earth was a prison, and now the cells are open and we're free to go. This moment would reshape everything: identity, history, purpose. It would mark the end of one epoch and the beginning of another. The myth becomes reality, and reality becomes transformed in ways we never knew it could be. Final thoughts. The prison planet theory is more than a fringe cosmology. It's a microscope, examining our fears, our longings, and our deepest questions about existence. It offers a framework for understanding the human condition as a journey through confinement, awakening, and transformation, and one in which freedom is always the most important thing in the universe. At its core, the theory invites us to ask, what if everything we struggle with, biological pain, psychological unrest, spiritual yearning, is not a flaw, but a clue? What if our discomfort is not a curse, but a compass pointing toward a forgotten truth? In this light, the theory becomes a tool for self-inquiry. It encourages us to examine our assumptions, challenge our beliefs, and explore the possibility that reality is deeper, stranger, and more layered than we've been taught. This theory mirrors countless mythic structures, from Prometheus to Buddha, from Neo to Moses. It's a story of becoming where the prison is not just a place, it's a phase, and liberation is not escape, it's evolution. Finally, the prison planet theory invites us to zoom out, to see Earth not as a static home, but as a dynamic crucible. Whether we were placed here, evolved here, or chose to come here, the experience of confinement becomes a rite of passage. It's the fire that tempers the soul, the maze that sharpens the mind, the veil that deepens the heart. Like and subscribe for more videos like this, and comment with what you believe our most likely way to escape would probably be.